Not with that. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition Show. I'm Slim Overton, and I'm here with host and moderator of the Thursday shows, Leah Drake Stitt, and along with co-host Thomas the Colonel Chapman. And we're here with a special candidate show, and our guest this evening is Portsmouth Mayor Shannon Glover, and the candidate for re-election to that office. And before we get started, Leah, and please be ready to take over. Yeah, anybody who's watching, please on our YouTube channel or our Facebook pages, please help me.
Please like and
Please
subscribe.
like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you. Had a little brain freeze there. But anyway, we appreciate all of you watching. And Leah, take it on.
Okay. Good afternoon, Portsmouth Coffee Talking. Good afternoon, Mayor Glover. We're surely happy to have you on our show this evening on this, our special candidates forum. Right. So for those of you who may not know, Mayor Glover comes to us from a unique blend of military discipline, civic leadership, and entrepreneur spirit to his role as the mayor in the city of Portsmouth. He's a proud Norfolk State graduate, and his journey in public service began with an honorable stint in the U.S. Navy, laying a foundation of discipline and commitment. Since moving to Portsmouth in 1990, he has immersed himself in the community, starting his own business in 2004 and serving on various local boards. He was elected to the Portsmouth City Council in 2017 and mayor in 2020. Mayor Glover, welcome once again to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and let the talk begin, sir.
Well. James, Leah, and the Colonel, it's so good to see you guys. And thank you for all you do in our community to make us better. We appreciate you.
Thank you. That's your opening statement. No more you have to say before we get started with these questions.
So really the opening statement, I guess I missed that part, but quite frankly, it's an honor and privilege to be in front of the citizens of Portsmouth and all who are watching. I'm really excited about the opportunity that we have before us and continuing the progress that we have in the city of Portsmouth. As you all know, we are doing some amazing things in our city, and I believe I have the best experience and I am the right choice to lead that progress. And I don't say that lightly, but I say it from a background of being raised by a single parent mom in Erie, Pennsylvania. My mother, Willie Mae Glover, taught me and my siblings some very important values. And the first value was to get an education. And after you get that education, you need to get a good job so that you can take care of yourself and your family. And once you got that good job and you became stable, give some time back to the community, whether that's in a volunteer community, coaching youth and other things that excite you and motivate you, but make a difference. And last but not least, don't forget where you came from. So I took those same values when I left home as a young man and entered into the United States Navy, went to the Naval School of Health Sciences, of course. After I left the Navy, graduated from Norfolk State University, the first to go to college in my family. And I thought so much that I could be somebody. I started my own business. And with the help of my wife, Paula, and so many others, we were able to do some phenomenal things in making a difference in the lives of the people of our community. And I've got to say, one of the integral people that touched my life and put me on a path to service was my good friend and our good friend, my mentor and coach, Mr. Horace Savage. And if you don't know Horace Savage, you should know him. But my mentor and my father figure is 99 years old. We talk frequently, and I never forget the day he told me, Shannon, you're intimately qualified to serve your community.
You sound just like him, believe me. He knows how to throw the words out at you, that's for sure. Well, Shannon, let's get down to business because when we read your literature, you have certain things in your literature that talks about what your hopes are, what your dreams are for the city of Portsmouth. So let's start to talk. When you look at the literature and you see certain things on there, but I think sometimes you need to explain it a little more for the citizens so that they would know exactly what it is you're talking about. So let's talk about your vision for Portsmouth and your explanation and vision on sustainable development. Some people I talked to didn't know what that meant. So could you explain that, please, for the citizens?
So, really, for me, sustainable development, it includes the first tier of that is sustainable leadership and having consistent leadership so that we can attract the things that we need in our community. And when I talk about development, it's not only people development, but it's business development, it's economic development. One of the things that we must do in the city of Portsmouth is to attract businesses here so that we can continue to grow our revenue base, but more importantly, so that we can diverse our economy and our community so that we're inviting new people that may not have thought about coming to Portsmouth before. One example, I just talked to a business owner this week, and he says, Shannon, you all are doing so many positive things in the city of Portsmouth as it relates to business and entrepreneur support. I'm thinking about moving my company to the city of Portsmouth. When I talk about those things, it's critically important that we continue to attract and retain people and develop businesses so that we can reduce the tax burden on our citizens. And I am absolutely working on that every day of the week in order to make sure that it happens. But I can't do it unless I continue as the mayor to lead the progress that we've already started.
Well, Shannon, as you talk about the sustainable development, there are a lot of people who say, well, it's such a contentious council and so much division in the city, and there's too much fighting on council. And folks are looking every Tuesday to see what disruption is going to take place on the council in the council chamber. So, how is that impacting upon your vision for the sustainable development? Because a lot of people who see all the contentious behavior may feel uncomfortable coming into the city. So, how do you propose that we can deal with that situation?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because absolutely how we behave and the image that we project has an impact. But let me just give you some statistics. In the last 5 years, we have had over $1.5 billion of new investment in the city of Portsmouth, which has created 520 new jobs, $120 million new investment. We've built 550 new homes, and we have 41 projects underway currently. In spite of the challenges that we face, we've continued to move forward and make progress. And I'll give you just something very simple that I know a lot of citizens were concerned about. It doesn't have to do with economic development. But I remember 3 years ago when I became the mayor, there was a big issue about those water towers. They looked bad. People said they were eyesore. Have you seen the water towers lately?
Mm-hmm.
They've
Yes.
they've been restored.
Yes,
And so
restored.
what I always challenge people with, if we focus on the negatives and what the bad things are, we miss a lot of times the progress that we've made. And so I'm absolutely focused on the progress in the next couple of years. We will have an opportunity to create development and growth in this city, in our entertainment district, in our innovation district, our waterfront, and other parcels, which could exceed over $1 billion again, and that could provide another 20 to 30 million dollars of tax revenue so that we can help our citizens and lower the tax burden on them.
Well, as you talk about the waterfront, that's what everybody's concerned as to what the council's proposal is for the waterfront. So what is your vision for that lovely piece of land down there on that Elizabeth River? So, what is your vision as to
Well,
what we can do?
it's not just my vision, it's our vision. I can
Well,
remember
what's
when
your
I
vision?
came
What's the
here.
city's vision?
Yeah,
What's the
well,
city's
well, I'm gonna
vision
tell you
for?
what the city's vision is. When I came here almost 30 years ago, the vision was to make that something that people would want to come to and enjoy, but most of all, make it where it's tax producing for our city. My vision, as I understand it, and some of the programs we have with the Gateway Project, we already have some conceptual renderings, but I envision a mixed use development with retail, office space, as well as living space, perhaps apartments or condominiums within that development. Also, I envision mixed use retail on the bottom, having an opportunity of different things to come to our city that's going to be attractive. Here's the other thing that I propose. Before we get there, we need to take a trip with some stakeholders in our city, a diverse group of folks, and visit some sites with some ideas. And then we will come together and sit down with everyone and begin to look at what can we put there, the best and highest use that will bring people to Portsmouth, but more importantly, bring people to the waterfront to enjoy the views and the activities that will take place. It'll be a family friendly space because some of the renderings that I've seen include space for families, maybe a small water park for our children, things like that, because we have an opportunity to really remake our downtown and our waterfront. And the last thing I'll say, I talked to my good friend and my peer, Mayor Alexander over in Norfolk, and we always talk about. He said, "What are you guys are doing amazing things in Portsmouth." I predict when we get that waterfront developed in mile marker one, the old Holiday Inn site, more people will be coming to Portsmouth and staying over in Norfolk. And so my
So, the,
vision is growth, it's development, but it's a place that will attract people to meet the needs of them from a personal, from a business standpoint, a living standpoint, and an entertainment standpoint.
so this is your thought as to how we can create a thriving, inclusive, and forward-looking Portsmouth.
100%. And I would argue in many ways we're already underway with that. If you have seen the transformation out at our entertainment district with Rivers Casino Portsmouth, keep in mind what has happened around that. There's new development, there's new activity. A hotel will be coming in 2025. They're already working on the design work. We will have an entertainment district that is thriving, that is attractive, and it will include more amenities. That's my vision. And we are already getting people to come forward, businesses and organizations, to inquire about how can they become a part of that activity.
And as we're looking at these businesses that we're bringing back into the city, when businesses come into the city, they want to look at the educational system as well. The educational system would determine whether a business would like to come and bring families into the city of Portsmouth. Now, one of the goals on your literature is that your focus is on equitable education. How does this equitable education look?
Well, first of all, I'm a product of equitable education. And what I mean through equitable education is working with our educational leaders, our community, our families to ensure that our children have access to the opportunities that are available today. Let me give you an example. CTE, career and technical education. Yesterday, if you didn't read the news, we expanded the career and technical skilled trades academy at TCC. Over $1 million was pledged to expand the carpentry area, the electrician area, the welding area, and all those different areas that consist of TCC's Skilled Trades Academy. What that means is we are going to give our children an opportunity to get the skills that they need to go into those good paying jobs, which will provide hope and opportunity for them. Look, we all know that everyone has different abilities, and a lot of young people can use their hands. And by the way, skilled trades include critical thinking as well. You have to know how to measure, you have to know
Exactly.
how to use different tools in order to get the finished product. But I am excited because that place was packed yesterday, and the potential and to see those students who some of them were foster children and they didn't have an idea where they were going. When they came through that program and they earned those certificates, one young lady said that her idea, her vision was to be a traveling welder and go throughout the world based on the skills she has acquired. And I want to share this with you. Did you know the best welders are the ladies?
Yes, of
The
course.
best welders are the ladies.
Of course.
And there were 3 ladies that I met yesterday that have gone through our programs and are succeeding in that. But here's the other good thing. In our city, our Portsmouth at Work program, if you qualify or if you are interested in upskilling yourself and going into skilled trades, you meet with our folks here in the city of Portsmouth. If you're a Portsmouth resident, you can get those classes paid for 100%, which would also enable you not to have any debt. Many of our students who go to college are coming out with significant amounts of debt. And so going through these programs and having that equitable educational opportunity are creating real life success stories. And we should all be in the business of that.
Very good. Colonel, I see you. Did you have a question?
Oh, I always do. I always do. Always do. Yeah. So, yeah, as businesses, you talk about businesses that want to come here, set up, and grow, and that should be a goal for any municipality anywhere in the world or in this country. But one of the things that they also look at Facebook and they look at things going on, and especially in the city council. And I just want to address to you because you've had over the last 4 years, you've had the well, during this last term, you've had to address and had to put up and also had to sort of work your way through some nonsense from some of your fellow colleagues on the dais. And I will probably tell you, 2 of the 4 horsemen are still there. And so in this next term, if you are reelected, how will you deal with those jokers and to put some respectability back into the city council? Because one, you have to work with everybody on the council. And it appears, and citizens say this across the world, that not everybody has the same goal of actually working together and actually working for themselves versus working for the citizens of Portsmouth. So how will you help that go along?
Well, Colonel, I think that's a very valid point. And let me just share with you just how we got there. Real quick, look, we have council rules. And as the mayor and role as the chair of the council, I have certain rules that I have to abide by. All of the council members have that rule book. And so they understand what those rules are. Whether or not they wish to abide by them is a whole nother thing. When you ask me, how are we going to, I got to turn my power back on. Sorry. When you ask me how am I going to deal with those? Well, I've always dealt the same way. My door is always open, and I'm hoping that individuals will come and ask questions and we can have a dialogue. The challenge comes in when people on the council who are elected don't act accordingly to what they signed up for. And I'll give you an example. Every year when we have, or every 2 years when we have new folks elected, we put together a retreat so that we can begin to build the team and kind of understand what the vision is and kind of set forth some objectives and goals. Well, what happened the last time when I became mayor, several of my colleagues chose not to come to a retreat and not to participate. How in the world can you have an effective team when individuals won't show up and voice either whatever they think they would desire to do and working together with the group to share that information? It's hard to do, sir. But in spite of that, we have gone forward and done the work of the citizens to the best ability that we can do it. One thing I've learned as the mayor, I cannot control the actions of grown-ups. But what we can do as citizens, what you can do is to in a resounding way, tell those individuals who don't conduct themselves in the way that you all would prefer that they do as leaders, then you let them know that they're no longer able to serve in that role. That's the power of the people. And you all see the difference between those who participate and those who do not. I am not interested in people that show up just at election season. I am a leader in this community. I care about the people of our community, and I'm committed to working with people with the same goals and ideals and commitment to make our city better.
Excellent point. So, and I'll go back to the piece that you talk about the retreat. So, such does not show up for some reason. They didn't have surgery. They just, or they didn't have a birth or nothing like that. They just didn't show up because they were trying to make a statement. So
I
was
have
it called out?
I have colleagues on my council who said they don't need a retreat. And listen, when you say call them out, I'm not into calling folks out from the dais. That's not the role of the chair. We ask, why didn't you come? They can either respond or not respond. Once again, this is a participatory program. I'm not here to babysit folks, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to work with folks who want to work with the team, who want to move our city forward. And all you have to do is look at their record. What have they done other than show up at the council meeting? What have they done in the community? What have they done to make someone's life better? Have they put others' interests before themselves? That is what I look at in leadership. And I would say to you, that is my measuring stick for if I think that they're going to be a good leader. What we need in Portsmouth are good leaders who care about our community and who want to work together and leave, as my coach used to say, when you come through the door, leave all of your attitude there, because we win as a team and we lose as a team. And I've always worked to the best of my ability to give that image, but most importantly, to give that kind of leadership.
And Mayor, as you talk about the leadership, and you think about the role of the mayor, a lot of the citizenry really don't understand the mayor's role. They don't understand the mayor has only one vote, that we are city manager run government. So maybe you need to explain to them what the actual role of the mayor is. We used to call Dr. Holly the drum major for the city of Portsmouth because he was promoting our city in every breath that he took. So could you explain to those out there now what the role of the mayor's office is so that they would better understand that, please?
Sure. So as you all know, the mayor is the elected leader of the city. And that is not the same as the council members, because the mayor has responsibilities. Number one, the mayor is the chair of the council. He is responsible for conducting the meetings and running the meetings in accordance with the rules and with the proper decorum. In addition to that, the mayor is also, hold on, folks, my power for some reason is going out here. Okay, I'm back on. So in addition to that, the mayor is also the visible leader of the city, and he or she is the person who promotes the city, whether that's through ribbon cuttings, whether that's through going through meetings, whether that's serving at the regional level. Do you all know that the mayor serves on 4 regional boards? I am actually the vice chair of the HRT board. I am vice chair of the Hampton Roads Planning District, which represents 17 localities in Hampton Roads and the surrounding areas. So the mayor has a number of different duties outside of just convening and running the meeting. In addition, the mayor signs off on letters and things that the city has to move forward. There was an issue with the mayor not signing off on an appointee's contract. The mayor also signs off on contracts. So every council member doesn't have that role. Additionally, the mayor has the authority to appoint different boards and commissions. He or she doesn't need the blessing of council to do that. So the mayor is set aside. And I always share with everyone of my colleagues, if you really want to be the mayor, if you don't really want to just be a council member, it's a free country. You can run to be the mayor. at the end of the day, the mayor is at a higher standard. And that's the important part for people to know. We're not the same as every other council member. The only commonality between us is we all only have one vote.
One vote. That's right.
But beyond that, the
Mhm.
mayor is the elected leader of the city, and people hold the mayor to a higher standard, I think, as it should be.
As it should be. As it should be. James, you have a
So
question?
I
Yes,
do.
so I have a quick question for you, Mayor. As we talk about the innovation district, the entertainment district, the casino, the waterfront, and what might come at the old Holiday Inn site, those are very important projects that will economically help the city go forward. But for, even if those are thriving, many of the citizens might visit those areas maybe once or twice or three times during the year. The main interest that many of the citizens have are the potholes in their streets, the
Yes.
trash
Yes.
pickups,
Yes.
those common things, wild animals that are now invading our neighborhoods, issues related, to our neighborhoods that are in common. What would you say? And this is a question probably could go to all seven members, but we have you here, and you have that one vote, but you can lead in some of these areas.
Exactly.
What would you say to those people, that make sure that their interests are addressed while all these other projects are being worked on? But in the meantime, we have to care and address our citizens that are out there. In many cases, a lot of them are suffering from
Mhm.
various things,
No, listen, at the end of the
variety of
day,
things.
the most important component of a community are its people and their safety and security, and for them to feel well in the city in which they live. And I, for one, believe that wholeheartedly. What I would say to those citizens, we are focusing on improving in those areas. Our city manager that has come on board, Mr. Carter, is devising some new approaches and new strategies. He's working with developing new programs within the city to develop leaders that will look at these challenges that we are facing in the community as real and have a game plan for approaching them and resolving them. We want to be a solution orientated community. We're not there yet, but we're headed in that direction. The most important thing I can say to the citizens, because I get emails and I get phone calls every day, sir, I assure you, about those potholes, and I've run into a couple of them. The
Mhm.
bottom line is it's incumbent upon us to do as city government and city staff to do what we say we are going to do. And we need to be responsive in a way that people can trust what we say. And I know that there's been some hiccups there, but we desire to be better, but we can't be better without citizens continuing to challenge us to do that, to meet that standard. And I think in some areas we are improving. We're not there yet, but we're not where we used to be. And we are going to start having, as the manager has put out to the council, he is going to have weekly meetings with his teams and his directors, and they're going to start having measurements and
Yes.
responses as
Yes.
far as how are we doing with the
Mhm.
potholes, not just anecdotal, but we got 100 potholes, we got 50 that's repaired, we got 50 more to go. What's the time frame and when can we get them done? And he's going to be meeting with his team leaders on a weekly basis. The thing that I like about Mr. Carter is, he has a military background as well. And so he's implementing a discipline system into our city government that may not have been as tight as it has been in the past. And I think it's going to benefit all of us. But I will say this: we can't be the city we desire to be without you, the citizens, bringing those things to our attention. And if we do not respond, then the buck stops here. You hold us accountable at the ballot box, and you hold us accountable every day of the year to make sure those things are done. It's not acceptable to sit back, and if you're having issues, you're having difficulties, we need to know about them. Please, I cannot stress that enough to the citizens.
And you saying that, I think I asked the other candidate for mayor about this, talking about the at the end of the meetings where citizens get a chance to express themselves. But do you think we ever go back to the public meetings we used to have in the different communities?
Right.
Because that seems like the best opportunity. You have more than 5 minutes. You have the council people that are able to respond, and because it's kind of hard at the end of the meeting, you know, to respond, especially if it's a long meeting, because people are ready to go, really, in reality. But the community meetings that we used to have, and I think COVID stopped it. You think we get back to? I think it's a need to get back to that, in order for citizens to really
Mhm.
respond. Not everybody's going to send you an email. Not everybody's going to stop you in Kroger and ask you questions. But those community meetings, from what I can remember over the years, used to be pretty successful in citizens that you don't normally hear from getting an opportunity to speak directly to their representatives.
Well, James, 100%. And I would go a bit further. I would argue that we need to have them regularly and consistently. And so, we have the citywide community organization that deals with the civic leagues. I think that's where you start. But I would advocate absolutely, and I support that we have those quarterly meetings reinstituted to give people an opportunity, but we need to be consistent with it. And we need other people to show up because having been a community person and serving on boards and commissions, you and Leah in the community, a lot of times, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we usually at those meetings get the same folks.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and what happens is, they get worn out because they're coming with the same challenges and it's just not moving in the way that it needs
Mhm.
to move. But I want those same folks to come back, but I want some new folks to come up and
Mhm.
give us, let us know how we're doing, give us some feedback. And I think you are going to see that. I know that one of the first things that I intend to do once I'm reelected is to reinstitute that through our manager's office to give them some real kind of parameters in which council would like for that to happen. But make no mistake about it, Portsmouth is a community of people, and we care about our people because we will not have the community that we desire if we don't pay attention to the small things. Because as you all know, the small things are the things that get you, not the big things. It's the small things, and continuing for them to pile up is not acceptable. And
Mhm.
so I welcome that, and I will be in full support of that.
Well,
And I,
Mayor,
and I do see different people speaking at the end of the meeting that
Mhm.
you usually see over the years. It's just not enough time for their concerns to be addressed, in my opinion. Sorry,
And
Leah,
And
go
and,
Mayor,
ahead.
and I agree wholeheartedly.
and Mayor, I hope that y'all have gotten away from paying individuals to serve on board and commissions because that's supposed to be a volunteer position and one in which I think a person who's truly committed to that board and commission would not be looking for a stipend, but they would be there to make the necessary corrections for the benefit of the city. Where are we with y'all paying these members of the boards and commissions?
Well, as you know, when we had the opportunity to bring some new members on council, we ended that,
Good.
and that was one of the things that I advocated for. In addition to that, you may recall we made some changes to that as well. So we ended the payment to those boards and commissions that historically did not require that or did not have that as an option. And at the end of the day, you're right. People serve because they care about our community. And certain boards, we do have a stipend, like I
Right.
think the Board of Zoning Appeals and some
Mhm.
others. But that's because that's a different discipline and that's a different level of commitment. And so I think that you want people to step up and show up, not because they're getting 200 or $100, but because they really care and they want to make a difference. It's a choice.
Mhm.
And everyone doesn't have to make that choice, but I think we've remedied that problem.
And Mayor, as I got to get something for my deputies off their chest, please. Is when we talk about public safety,
Sure.
a lot of our deputies were upset during the time. I'm trying to think of the event and the reason and the rationale why, but there was a statement made by you that the Portsmouth Sheriff's deputies were not law enforcement. So could you explain that for the benefit of those deputies who took offense to your having said that they were not law enforcement?
Yes, I will. I will address that. And I did address it when I misspoke and I apologize to the sheriff and his team. What I was referring to as it relates to the city government, the sheriff's department, the sheriff is a constitutional officer. So he and his deputies come under that 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 particular leadership. Our city police, our law enforcement that we provide the budget for, that is a part of our budgetary process, comes under our law enforcement officer in the city, which is the chief of police. That is what I really wanted to say, but it didn't come out that way. And I did apologize to the sheriff. And here's the other thing you need to know: I've always supported Sheriff Moore and the deputies under his leadership. In fact, remember in 2023, the council approved $6,500 supplement
Mm-hmm.
to increase sheriff salaries in November of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, I was in dialogue with the sheriff and I assured him that his people were going to be treated equitably and fairly. And that hadn't always happened in the past. So, yes, as mayor, sometimes I say the wrong thing in the wrong order, and I can own up to when I've made a mistake. But it was in no way to slight the contributions of our sheriff's deputies and our sheriff here in the city of Portsmouth, the SROs and the job they do to protect our children every day. It is appreciated, and I am grateful for it.
Okay, and before I let the colonel, I know he's bubbling over with a question, but while we are on this public safety, there are some who are saying that you are anti-firefighters. Could you please explain your stance on collective bargaining?
So let me tell you why collective bargaining, as I researched it, it wasn't a good deal for us as a city. First of all, if you make widgets, if you make things for a company and you have CEOs that make a big income, then that's in the private sector, and they need to protect their interests as employees to make sure they get a fair and equitable wage. But in municipalities, particularly in the city of Portsmouth, it wasn't a good deal for the citizens. Let me explain to you a couple of reasons why. So some of the things that they were asking for example, did you know that we have raised the salaries of our firefighters almost 10% over the last 2 years? For example, we changed the compensation schedule in FY23. For example, you could have a firefighter making $46,000. The FY24, his salary went to $53,000. It increased $7,000. That was a 19% increase in addition to the raises. The reason why I didn't support it was because we did not have a cost for what collective bargaining would be, number one. And I cannot burden our taxpayers with a cost that is unknown. And by the way, there was a report put out that Portsmouth, out of all of the cities, was the most fiscally challenged that could not support such an endeavor. In addition, to that, no other city in Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk approved collective bargaining for their firefighters. And so understanding those things without knowing what the cost would be and not having that data, I could not in good conscience sign up for something that I did not have all the information about. We have increased the firefighter salary. We have given them all of the things they asked for. If we want to negotiate in good faith, I am all about that. They can negotiate with the manager through their union and the fire chief, follow the chain of command. Let's work together to make it better, which we have done as a city. And to do that, I don't believe we need to burden our city or our citizens with extra costs, which would come with collective bargaining.
Thank you, Mayor. Colonel?
Yeah, I take to preface that though. I'm a big union man, and I believe in collective bargaining. So, and I think that's the one overall. That's the quickest way for people to get into the middle class, and I understand making that business decision to not go down the collective bargaining piece. But I just think it's just a negative thought for that you had to, you made your own decision on how to do that. But I want to go back to what you talked about as far as under the umbrella of safety and security and that falls under one of your guideposts of public safety. And now we always talk about what gets the news every day is the shootings, and that's the highlights, because we run down, there's a shooting, and we run down, and that's what brings out wavy TV. But if you look at across the country, it's the same thing. We talk about the mass shootings or whatever, but crime is down statistically across the country. And I think the last report here in Portsmouth, it's come down in different sections. And can you address that? And then two, the other piece of it is when you're doing the hiring piece for the firefighters and the police department and the sheriff's department, when I have to look at those folks that are coming to give me a ticket for the police department or coming to rescue me or whatever, I want to look at, when we talk about community policing, somebody that looks like me, because the majority of the citizens in this city are African Americans, but the three departments I just named are majority of another persuasion. So what are we doing to rectify that?
So I can't speak specifically to the numbers that you're quoting in terms of minorities on the firefighters or the police. But what I can tell you is our police chief, for example, Steve Jenkins, is absolutely focused on hiring as many minorities and women. By the way, women are underrepresented in our police force as well. And so we're looking to hire more women. In addition to that, our fire chief, Nestor Mangabat, the first Filipino American ever to hold that space or that position in the city of Portsmouth. We are affirmatively looking at how we can promote minorities and others in our police and fire. And I will also tell you, our battalion chief, two of our fire chiefs, and our fire captain, an African American woman. So we're doing good work in that area, and we will continue to focus on that as we go forward. The other thing I want to address is our crime, as the last report was given by Chief Jenkins, has gone down 20%. 20%. Now, I will say any murders are too many murders in my mind. We've got to work more with our organizations and our families and our community to educate and get these guns out of these young people's hands and people who do not need to have them. For example, we've stood up our program, Portsmouth United, here in the city of Portsmouth, which is an evidence-based crime reduction, gun violence reduction program, along with the ceasefire program that the state has put in place. We are making strides. We just hired a dedicated person that will run that division for the city of Portsmouth. And they will report to the police chief and work collaboratively with our crime task force. I know through the Bloomberg study that we did on gun violence and crime, Leah had participated in that program. We are continuing to bring stakeholders together in our city, violence interrupters. We're hiring people. I believe we are doing a lot of things good, but it takes time. It takes time to see the results. But I would dare say we are committed to public safety 100%, because we understand if we don't have a safe community, people are not coming here, families are not coming here, businesses are not coming here, and it's not going to be a pace that will attract folks. So we are going to continue to work on that. Stay tuned. We've got some other initiatives coming, and I'm excited about the direction we're heading. By the way, we've just brought on 25 new officers in the last 3 or 4 months. In addition to that, in December, we'll be bringing on new sworn officers here in the city of Portsmouth. So we're continuing to ratchet at that number. And look, we're not there to police and be a police state, but you better believe we need to have the complement in order to keep our city safe and keep our citizens safe.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead, right ahead, James.
Mayor, I want to ask you this, and I know you have heard this during your tenure as mayor, and you probably had to address it many times. But there are people out there that say that you lean towards the business community, or you care more about the business community as opposed to anything else. The everyday citizen out there. So if you have to address that, well, you have to address that right now. What would you say to those people that are saying that right
Well,
now?
I would say to them, if you know my walk, if you know the people who know me, that's just not true. I am in the community. I am engaged, whether it's through mentoring young men in our community, which I still do, through raising funds to help our children to get training and education, through also sending our children who haven't been to the Virginia Science Museum on a trip, the children of Brighton Elementary, so that they can have a chance to go and be enriched and get a chance to go out of the city of Portsmouth that they've never been through a tunnel. As mayor and a young man who grew up in a single parent home with 5 other siblings and a single parent mom who struggled with finances and many other things, I know the value of being engaged in the community. And I would challenge any of those people to tell me what they do. What do they do in the community? My record is clear. I give back, I care, and I do everything within my power to make sure I touch not only our children, but our seniors and those folks who are struggling and working to better their lives. I want them to be an example because I know that there are other Shannon Glovers out there, and I know that there are other opportunities that they can take advantage of. And that's what motivates me every day. I don't really worry about the grievance group and those folks who have something to say. My mama used to tell me, watch those who's always talking because they're probably not doing much working. So we're going to keep working in our community. And I hope that I continue to be an example of the positive leadership that I hope that I'm delivering every day.
Thank you, Mayor. And one more question, Leah. And this is I asked this of the last candidate that's running for mayor, and I want to address you to address it as well. Being a former, you mentioned earlier, being a former member of boards and commissions, many of them in the city of Portsmouth. I know that we are committed. We're not paid, but we're committed to be at every meeting. And if we missed a certain amount of meetings, we report it to city council, and we are dismissed from that committee. And I'm talking about liaisons to council liaisons to boards and commissions. And to me, maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but to me, it's very important to be committed to go to those meetings because a lot of those boards and commissions look for the guidance from those representatives from the city council. So we'll know we're doing the right thing. And I'll say this: one time I was on the planning commission, and everything we were sending to the council, they were sending back or they were rejecting it. So we had to request a meeting with them to find out, what do you guys want us to do? So when they started having liaisons in the meetings, that helped tremendously. We knew they could tell us, well, the council probably might not go with that, or, the council is thinking another way on that. So that helped. So how do you feel about, I know you can't make, once they're assigned to these different boards and commissions, you can't make them go. But how do you feel about, council members, if they're running or getting in office, being committed to that, and how important that is, to make sure you attend those
James,
meetings?
I feel exactly the way you feel. When you sign up for it, you put your name on the dotted line, you need to show up. There's nothing more frustrating than having my colleagues not show up for the boards and commissions. As I share with you, I serve on several regional boards and commissions. How would it look for the city of Portsmouth if the mayor consistently didn't show up for his duties as chair or vice chair of these regional organizations? So your answer is simply this: they need to be held accountable, but it's difficult when you don't have members on council who think that that's important and don't value it. How can you approach them? We have abilities to sanction, to do different things, but at the end of the day, if people refuse to show up, the citizens need to know that. You see me every council meeting, I ask, are there any liaison reports? Consistently, it's 1 or 2 people that give a liaison report. The others never say a word. Have you ever wondered why? Because they don't go to the meetings. And the fact that they don't go to the meetings, perhaps we should put out a report card and they should get judged just like the other folks who don't show up
That's
for
true.
boards and commissions. And if they miss too many, they get relieved, correct?
Just like
Right.
the citizens. If it's for the
Council can
citizens,
put
it
those
should be.
controls in place. But once again, council has to police itself. And if you have a majority that is unwilling to police itself, sir, it's a very difficult lift. I don't disagree with you. I think that we should have that level of accountability. I am accountable and I expect to be. And that should be as every other council member on the dais.
I think a good report of who attends and who doesn't, so
Exactly.
the citizens would
I
know,
agree.
and that'll be a part of our report
That's right.
card when these people decide to run again. It should be a
Well,
part of their packaging.
as mayor, I think I could probably help to make something like that happen for sure.
It would be
And
good.
and all I need is the direction of the citizens. If it's important to you, I know it's important to me. We can make that happen.
You know, and it helps also when these issues come up in the council meeting and you hear some of the questions that the council people are asking. It's obvious that they have not read the information prior to the meeting, nor have they attended the meeting. And it does not look well. It does not look well when you know that that's information that's been presented to them prior to the council meeting, and then they're not knowing the questions to ask in reference to the material that was printed.
I agree.
Yeah. Mayor, I have another question though. You talk as being the mayor and also with the city council members, you all have the overall responsibility of physical responsibility for the city.
Yes.
And can you address the effects of a positive or negative bond rating and how it affects on the short and long term physical health of the city, and also on the piece of expenditures that are not foreseen, especially when we talk about some of the stuff that's gone on in the past with HR and these big severance packages that we've had to pay out. You know, over $2 million over, you know, it just adds up on and on and on.
Well, I can address
signing contracts earlier.
Right. So first of all, let me address that. We have changed the policy in terms of severance, particularly for assistant directors and director level positions. So we have addressed that with our legal team. And so that policy has changed. You will not see those types of severances coming out for people who only worked a few weeks any longer. Number one. The other thing that you talked about was how do we have fiscal accountability? Well, with our bond rating, it's critically important that it remains in the positive because it affects our ability to borrow money, like the $45 million that we borrowed to buy the regional jail. We recently had a meeting with the bond rating agencies, and we were upgraded with Standard & Poor's from a AA to a AA plus, and we retained our rating with Moody's, which stated Aa2. These are critically important because if your rating isn't good, it costs you more to borrow money. Because we were upgraded in our bond rating review, we were able to borrow that $45 million, not at the projected rate of 5% that we thought. We ended up coming in after the bond sale closed at 3.49%. Over that 20-year repayment period for that $45 million, we will have saved the city $11 million just from the rate change and just from the bond rating that we have. In addition, Portsmouth has $115 million in our rainy day fund. And so we are very well positioned. We are managing our debt. We're doing well. We have a lot of opportunity to bring new business here and growth potential. And that is something all of us should be proud of. We are not a poor city. We are a financially challenged city like most other cities, but we as the leadership are doing a lot of good things and we are financially stable.
Well, Mel Glover, it has been a very good hour. James, do you have a last question? Because with the 7:54 hour, Colonel, the last question. We're at the 7:54 hour.
Just
Oh,
want
well,
to get
while
the
Colin is thinking, I want to remind everyone that you can support Portsmouth Coffee Talk by going to PCT 1220, or you can do it on Zelle and Portsmouth Coffee Talk at yahoo.com, Post Office Box 7664, Portsmouth, Virginia 23707. Once again, we want to ask you to not to forget to like, subscribe, and share what we are sharing with you today on James Overton's Facebook page or my Facebook page or even on our YouTube channel. We need you to like and subscribe that YouTube channel in order for us to continue to bring these shows that get you engaged with what's taking place in the city of Portsmouth. So, Mayor Glover, I really want to thank you for choosing to come on to Portsmouth Coffee Talk to share your vision, your ideas, your dreams for the city of Portsmouth, and for the citizens to get to hear from you and for you to be able to address some of those concerns that the citizens have in regards to your leadership. So I want to thank you once again for coming on to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And if you like the last minutes, they belong to you.
Well, once again, I want to thank Portsmouth Coffee Talk, James, Colonel, and you, Leah. You guys are continuing to deliver good information for our citizens, and that's important. What I want to say to the people of Portsmouth, my vision for Portsmouth is for us to be that shining city on the hill, to be the number one city for workforce development and the number one city for small businesses and new entrepreneurs to grow and achieve their dreams. I want us to be the city that teaches our children skilled trades and opportunities where they can get good paying jobs so that they can have the things that they desire to have and have a good life. We will be the city. We will be the city that offers those things as well as affordable housing and workforce housing to take care of our frontline folks and give them an opportunity to live in the best city that will have the destination of Portsmouth, Virginia. Our future is bright and we're doing some amazing things across the board in many areas. We'll continue to support education and we'll continue to sit down with all stakeholders and listen to them so that they can tell us what things are important to them to build a community in which we all can live, work, and play and raise a family. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to continuing the progress that we've set forward in these first 4 years. It hasn't all been easy, but it never can be easy if you're working hard. It's going to be a struggle sometimes, but at the end of the road, you have a vision, you have a hope, and you have a dream for everyone to enjoy in its success. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm humble. God bless you guys, and I'll see you at the finish line.
And Mayor Tanja Williams says, thank you, Mayor, for all you do for the city of Portsmouth. So for those of you who may not have seen the entire show, you can always go back and watch it later, or you go to YouTube and watch it on YouTube, and you can hear from the mayor himself as he discussed his vision for the city of Portsmouth. So I want to thank you so very much, Mayor Glover, for coming on. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us on this afternoon.
And if I
So,
may, don't forget that early voting is already underway. You can go down to City Hall and cast your vote early. Mayor Glover, number one on the ballot. The big day, November the 5th, 2024. That's when everything is going to be decided. I look forward to being your leader and continuing the progress because I am the one with the right experience and I am the right choice to lead our city forward. Thank you again.
and I suggest that you ask your other colleagues, do this. Come on to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, because not only do you get this first hour, but you also get continuous replays of what you've said. So I want you to share it with those out there who are running as well. Okay, tell them to come on to Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
Coffee Talk is the place to be.
And we'll be good, and we will be good to them. Okay, we will be good to them. Okay.
You always are.
So, Mayor, thank you so very much for coming on. We appreciate you so very much, and good luck to you and your endeavors. And we will watch this thing as we pretty soon, in less than 40 days, I think it will come to a close.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. The last thing I'll share with you, can I share this real quick?
Yes,
the other thing I forgot to share, I'm really excited about. I've been invited to Mexico City by the Bloomberg Philanthropies, the same ones who did the Bloomberg Harvard Leadership Initiative. 500 mayors. I'm going to be in Mexico City from the 13th to the 16th We're going to be talking innovation, growth in cities. We're going to talk affordable housing and ways we can bring resources to the city of Portsmouth. I'll be with some of the smartest people in the world. I was chosen. It's a zero cost to the city, all expenses paid. Pray for me on this trip, and I'm looking forward to bringing back some great information to move our city forward.
Well, I hope you have your surrogates out there. Have you gone from the 13th to the what?
16.
13th to the 16th. Okay. So, but anyway, Mayor, I want to say thank you once again. Thank you for coming on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. James,
Take care.
and thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
James.
Yes, and thank you, everybody. And remember, Coffee Talk, Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice, our community, and our future. See you next time.